This is the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, sponsored by the Blockchain Real Estate Summit. If you're interested in the intersection of real estate, blockchain technology, AI, and more, you've come to the right place. Don't miss your opportunity to attend the Blockchain Real Estate Summit 2024, happening this September 24th through 26th, online for our worldwide audience. Get your tickets at blockchainrealestatesummit.com/registration. Enjoy the show.
I'd like to introduce Claus Skaaning, the founder of DigiShares, and also the man that's really connecting an entire ecosystem together so that people can issue tokenization of real estate. And he will be interviewed and moderated by Laura Pomasian from Height Zero. And Laura is one of the stars of the industry. So with that, take it away, Claus. And thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks,
I will
Michael.
see if I can figure out how to share the screen.
Yeah, so I'm just going to jump in and just say thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate Michael and Fibri and all that they're doing, for this space and for this event. And again, thank you, Claus, for everything that you're doing in this space. I would love to just kind of go through, share a little bit about yourself, and then maybe you could do your presentation, and then I'll jump back on and ask a few questions. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone who is here and joining us globally. This is a very exciting time for the industry and for Fibri. Very honored and pleased to be here with Claus Skaaning. He has a PhD in computer science. He also co-founded DigiShares in 2018, a company focusing on providing white label software solutions for tokenization. He's a seasoned entrepreneur with successful track record, including ventures like Decide, and he also has served as an advisor and mentor for several research-based startups. While pursuing a career as a serial entrepreneur, Claus has dedicated much of his time to assisting and guiding student startups at Aalborg University. I believe that's how it's pronounced, their innovation incubator, and that is amazing. Thank you for doing that. Claus believes in the vision of blockchain technology and actively strives to enhance the democratization, disintermediation, and self-sovereign assets. His expertise encompasses AI, tokenization, and real estate. So, Claus, I am to introduce you and take it away.
Thank you very much. It sounds almost too good to be true. It's because I'm an old guy, been around for many years. Let me share my screen. It's a great pleasure to be here today. Thank you very much, Laura and Michael, for hosting and facilitating the event. I will give a brief introduction to tokenization that I hope is not too high level and basic for the listeners, and then we will have a discussion afterwards with Laura. And I think you can also ask questions if you like. So I will basically give our sort of, I would say, up-to-date view on where the tokenization industry is and present a few use cases as well, and keep it to 10 or 15 minutes, something like that. So some of you may know us. We are a provider of solutions for tokenization of real estate assets. Basically, we are a software company. We sell software that allows you to get your own tokenization platform and tokenize your own assets, basically, and get full control over that process. So our system has functionality for minting the tokens, onboarding investors, so facilitating KYC, verification, investment in both fiat currency and cryptocurrency, and share capital management, distributions, and so on, and other types of corporate actions, as well as trading. So we have a bulletin board internally that allows customers to trade or users to trade internally in a kind of walled garden approach without in a restricted manner, right? Because then you can actually run it in many countries without having a license for it and still facilitate trading. In the US, there is currently a situation where we need to clarify what kind of license is required. So we're actually providing it right now under the license of a broker-dealer. But most of the white label solution can be used without a license as long as you're tokenizing your own assets. So it's an end-to-end turnkey solution. We can deliver it quite fast. It's highly customizable, configurable. It has open APIs, so you can configure, customize it as much as you like. We have many configuration options, so we can match most requirements, I would say, both for small and large companies. We are also extremely focused on compliance. Of course, we are within securities regulation here. So if you fractionalize real estate, it will, without any doubt, become a security. So we tokenize securities, and we manage sort of and work with security tokens within our platform. Everyone in our industry acknowledges this. If they don't, they will have a problem with the SEC for sure. But the good point is then that the SEC wants everything to be a security. So we are in a safe place in relation to the regulator. I'm also quite excited about the fact that we will soon launch what will be, I think, the world's first exchange for the trading of real estate that is based on blockchain technology. It'll actually be launched in the US first because that was the easiest for us to do, and we expect it to happen in Q4, so pretty soon. We are working now on the final sort of technical details, and we signed up with a company called Texture Capital to run under the license initially, and then longer term we'll get our own. The exchange is called realestate.exchange and will allow for peer-to-peer, wallet-to-wallet, direct trading of real estate-backed tokens. We have 150 clients in more than 40 countries, so we are pretty global, but the US is our biggest market with around 45 clients in total, I think. Tokenization, what is it? It's of course something that happens on the blockchain. The blockchain itself is a global network where you can transact with digital currencies and now also digital securities and sort of digitized, tokenized real estate. And you can do it, of course, much more efficiently and less expensively and much more transparently and securely and so on compared to the existing financial system. You can cut away most of the intermediaries, and you can build software applications on top of the chain where you can completely and fully transact with digitized securities, tokenized securities. So you can facilitate onboarding, subscription, trading, distributions, and so on, without any kind of interaction or integration with existing financial service providers. You can just do it directly on the chain. So that allows for a lot of innovation that software companies like us can benefit from, and of course also our clients. Tokenization is of course the process of creating a token that represents ownership in an underlying asset, both legally and technically. Most companies are tokenizing equity or shares of a company that owns the underlying property. This is the easiest both from a legal and investor protection perspective, I would say. But we do see other kinds of scenarios also, so you can tokenize debt or profit share, revenue share, and so on. You can even possibly longer term tokenize the title of the deed directly, but we haven't really seen it yet so much. In any case, our platform is flexible enough to handle any approach. Tokenization is the market that has been projected to grow extremely fast in the future. Citibank has projected growth to 4 trillion in 2030. Boston Consulting Group has projected it to grow to 16 trillion by 2030. JP Morgan sees it as the killer app of the traditional financial ecosystem, and BlackRock also sees it as sort of the next evolution and revolution of the financial services system, right? So it's an exciting space to be part of. The benefits, of course, that you can achieve with tokenization are briefly summarized here, but generally you can see it as a way to digitize, modernize, and automate workflows, both for sort of subscriptions and trading and so on, and you can reduce administrative costs. You can, due to the fact that you can reduce administrative cost and you can automate, you can also fractionalize. It becomes realistic to do this, and you can reduce the ticket size down to maybe 100 instead of having 100,000 as a minimum ticket. So you can allow retail investors to come in. You can also support peer-to-peer trading directly from wallet to wallet with no counterparty risk. It's based on something that is called an atomic swap smart contract, where you can sort of ensure that both directions, both legs of the transaction will occur. Both of them will occur or none of them will occur. So you will not have a situation where you pay for something that you don't receive. And this is a function of the blockchain actually that you can do this. And I think in my point of view, one of the big innovations of the blockchain technology. So you can get full control over with your own platform. You can automate, you can reduce costs, you can make your assets liquid, tradable, and actually worth more. So if you have two assets that are otherwise the same, but one is liquid, the other one is illiquid, everyone will prefer to invest into the one that is liquid. And of course, it will then become worth more. You can open up for retail investors due to the ticket size reduction. And by making the asset liquid, you also make it more interesting for institutional investors. And of course, longer term, we haven't seen it so much yet because we need to make the real estate liquid first. Longer term, we will open up for the ability to take real estate-backed tokens and use them as collateral for extremely efficient and highly competitive lending in the DeFi ecosystem. In the right side, you see two trends that we are really happy about and that we are tracking from year to year, and sort of the result, the implication of these two trends is that we will see that tokenization will eventually become extremely widespread. We need investors, individual investors that understands what real estate is and that it's a great thing to invest in. That's the first curve in the top. The second curve in the lower part of the screen is the number of active addresses. So the number of individuals with wallets, active wallets on the chain. So if these two curves keep growing so that we get the majority of the global population in this covered by these charts, then of course tokenization will become just the natural thing to do. And indeed, this is what we see, right? So wallets are becoming easier and easier to use. Soon you will have, as part of your bank account, the ability to store digitized tokens, tokenized securities, and so on. It'll just become a natural part of the infrastructure. You will also get CBDCs, so national digital currencies that will also be used as payment for the tokenization ecosystem. So tokenization will just, within a few years, disappear as a concept in itself and just become the normal infrastructure for transacting with securities and real estate tokens. Here are a few use cases that we have within our own client ecosystem in order of complexity. So the first one is the most simple one, but also the one that is the easiest to achieve. So it's just about process optimization and reduction of administrative costs and using the system sort of to digitize and automate internal transactions for subscriptions and internal trading and so on, and just make it easier to manage investors, shares and tokens in different projects, and generally sort of reduce administrative costs. So Marco Polo Securities, Marco Polo Exchange is a US broker-dealer that is using our system in this way. The second use case is about fundraising, and this is the majority of our clients that are using the system in this way. So it's both about selling or sort of freeing up capital in existing properties that may be yield generating, or also raising funding for new development projects is also part of this use case. Equito is a Spanish client using the system in this way. They build a mobile app on top of our backend system, and they facilitate investment into high quality Spanish properties down to 100 euros, almost the same as $100 US. And they also pay out dividends in crypto. So it's actually a really great use case that highly democratizes the access to real estate for investors. The last case here is market space capital. I think a case that a lot will know. Real estate developer in Texas that tokenized a multifamily property and listed it on T0. They tokenized it on our platform first, of course, and then they listed it on T0, where it's been listed for more than a year, and it has grown around 20%, I think, in value. They have actually recently delisted this property, I think, due to not enough trading volume, and in fact, the existing investors didn't want to sell. So they didn't get enough, I think, volume for trading on T0, and also sort of that compared to the cost of maintaining the listing made it a little bit cost prohibitive for them. We of course hope that they will maybe list some of their other assets on our exchange, realestate.exchange, which will be focused on real estate. So we think it's maybe a slightly better proposition, but we'll see. That's it for me. Thank you very much. I will turn over the word again to Laura, who can decide what we should do from here.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm just so, as you know, and many might not know, but I am very involved in the space. I keep track of a lot of what's going on. I know a lot of those who are working in the space and pioneering and doing a lot of things to help move this industry forward. And there's no one that even comes close to what it is that you're doing with, a global effort, right? I mean, last week or a couple weeks ago, you're here in the US, and then you're in Dubai, and you're traveling all over. You're inroads into every aspect of, on a global effort. And I just commend you for that. There's just so much that's going to come from your efforts in this industry. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's a necessary evil at the point of where we are with the industry, right? And you're doing the same, and Michael Fried is doing the same too. And we need to, I think at this point, really educate about how great it is what we're doing, right? And trying to get users, clients to understand it and adopt it, right?
Yeah. And you know what, you made a really great point on the last slide around liquidity. And, that question gets asked a lot, especially in real estate, being that that's kind of the purpose, being able to provide that option to investors.
Yeah.
And the idea that they, we're assuming that they want to trade in and out. I really don't feel like real estate is going to become a daily trading type of asset. That's my feeling. I could be wrong. I don't know, but nonetheless, I feel like real estate has always been a stable investment. You get into, to have the benefits of the stability of the investment, right? And necessarily do that to exit, but having that option, or even in DeFi, like you said, having the opportunity to collateralize and not necessarily exit is a very big deal. What is it? What are you seeing in terms of adoption, like barriers that might be happening out there and that might be keeping us from adoption?
Yeah, just to comment on the liquidity first, right? I think it's really about the optionality, right? So you get the option to have liquidity for your asset, even though people might not want to trade, they have the option to do it, right? So I think that's taking us from 0 to 1, really, as Peter Thiel would say it, right? And giving the option of liquidity, I think is a great step forward. Then maybe some assets, larger assets and so on, would be more liquid than others. We'll see about that. But just having the option, I think, is already great. Barriers, it's still, I think, regulation in many countries, right? So I was in Dubai last week, and the regulatory framework is not 100% clear yet. You still have to interact with the regulator, and you have to know the right people in some cases, right? And in many other countries, especially also in Southeast Asia, where we've been a few times, it's also difficult in many countries to navigate the regulatory framework and to understand really whether it's possible at all to represent a share in a company with a token. It's unclear in many places, right? So that's been a barrier, but it's becoming less of a barrier, I would say. In many countries, we are actually working with sort of the first companies to do this in some countries, and they are basically paving the way for the rest of us, right? They are interacting with the regulator, and we are on the sideline and assisting in the process. They're getting through it eventually, and explaining to the regulator over a long period of time why this is just a new infrastructure, right? That's better than the old one, but it's still traditional shares and bonds and so on that we are working with. It's old-fashioned real estate. It's just a better way to work with it, right? So that's the process we want to support in many countries, and it's definitely going in the right direction. The US is still the favorable jurisdiction, I would say, and we recommend many of our international clients to work out of the US because it's so well regulated and understood, and a lot of legal firms can easily manage the process at a reasonable cost, right? So it's also less expensive in the US than it is in many other countries. So that's the main barrier, I think, but it's becoming less and it's becoming resolved, I would say. So now I think actually the next barrier to tackle is really on the buy side, right? The demand side, which we haven't seen developing so fast as we would have liked to. But there's no doubt that it's coming, right? As you could see on the two charts I showed with the individuals understanding how to invest into real estate and why to do it, and also active wallets on the chain, right? So there's no doubt that demand will come as implied by these two charts. But it's taking a bit of time, and that's also why we are launching the exchange, because we want it to go faster. So we want to have a sort of a central place for all real estate interested investors globally, where they can just sign up and they will get access to great real estate to invest into, and that will of course also be beneficial for the developers, right? The asset owners, that they will have a single place where hopefully a critical mass will appear relatively soon, both of the buy and the sell side.
Yeah, and I love that, and I think that is going to be really compelling. What I really took from what you just said is that, you know, knowing how much how exposed you are to all of the global markets, that the US is really the infrastructure. We have a very clear infrastructure here around securities, and being able to map that to a blockchain, you know, infrastructure is, you know, a lot of people are feeling like, well, we don't want to work in the US, or, you know, we want to work in other jurisdictions. And it feels like if we could just stay compliant and build, you know, almost like in parallel, like two parallel nodes, everything that we need to stay compliant traditionally, and then everything that we need to make this transition when we can, and flip that switch and go decentralized, or how, you know, whatever that path is going to be. I agree. I think that infrastructure is very clear here in the US. But I love hearing that it's happening all over. That's so exciting. So in terms of exciting, what are you seeing to be the most exciting as we, you know, move into the future around the topic?
Yeah, definitely the launch of our own exchange is what is filling the most in our company right now, but also globally and sort of in the industry as a whole. Of course, this year we've seen the massive institutional interest in the space, and BlackRock, KKR, Hamilton Lane, all these big companies going into the space, investing in it, doing their own POCs, and so on. It's been extremely exciting. And I think it's a major sort of next step for the industry as a whole. Will help us mature as an industry, and of course, many of these firms also launch their own chains and infrastructure and so on, which will be competing to some degree. What I'm starting to see, I'm not starting to see it so much yet, but I would like to see sort of more consolidation actually, and focus on common standards for industry participants, right? So we should agree more on common standards, and I think we see it starting a little bit. There should be a common standard, for instance, for decentralized ID. Some companies are pushing their own standards, which is, I think, hard to do sort of, and to get adopted by the global industry. And we should see more sort of standardization within the protocols that are used and so on. I'd like to see that maybe next year sort of falling more into place so that all of us are interoperable, so that tokens that are minted on our platform can be listed on most of the exchanges and can be moved from one platform to another, right? That's already possible to some degree now, but it should get even better, because that's one of the great innovations and great promises of tokenization, that it's an entire ecosystem that is interoperable.
I agree, and it's so important, and that really gets overlooked a lot right now. Everyone seems to be working in their own, silos.
Yeah.
We have a couple. I think we might have a question. It looks like Sean Miller raised his hand. I don't see any questions in the chat. I'm not sure about that question. If maybe Sean can write the question in the chat, that would be great. Or if anyone else has any questions, I'm happy to present those to Claus now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if I can. Sean, are you there?
Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for the opportunity to ask some questions. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
The chat's disabled, by the way.
Oh, okay.
No.
I had a question about, you'd mentioned regulations, securitization. So in the US, obviously there's a big component of real estate investment that is regulated by the SEC. Obviously REITs and similar type investment vehicles are SEC regulated. But there's a significant component of the commercial real estate investment industry that is not regulated. Privately held investment firms, just people going out buying their own building. Is there a way that tokenization could work for that component of the real estate industry that is not governed by federal regulation? How would that work? Certainly there's a place for that exists today, your regulated REIT investments, for example. But how would private investors, private investment firms work under tokenization without an SEC, for example, type regulation?
Yeah, I think we have clients working that way, right? So just using the system internally to automate workflows, right? It's similar to what we see the private equity firms doing. They are sort of primarily interested actually in using the system internally to automate internal sort of subscription and trading and so on, and automate and reduce administrative costs. And I think that's definitely doable now and can actually achieve a lot of value. So I think that's a way. Then of course you can easily do something like a Reg D and Reg S, where you target accredited investors to fundraise or to liquidate some of your properties, right? That's also a possibility.
Awesome. Well, I think we just have another minute or two. Is there anything else we would like to share? Claus, is there anything you'd like to share as we wrap up?
Can't think of anything. Not right now. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. And thank you so much again for everything that you're doing. We'll leave 2 minutes for transition.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, hosted by the Blockchain Real Estate Summit. Don't forget to sign up for the Blockchain Real Estate Summit 2024, happening this September 24th through 26th, online for our worldwide audience. Get your tickets at blockchainrealestatesummit.com/registration. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to follow the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Your feedback really helps increase the visibility of our show, allowing us to reach more listeners like you. If you have someone in mind you would like us to interview, you can go to blockchainrealestatesummit.com and leave a comment.
Hi, this is Adam Carswell, the voice of Liberty. This podcast is solely intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to provide tax, legal, investment, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, accounting, or investment advisors before engaging in any transaction or undertaking. Thank you for listening to the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, which is a part of the Blockchain Real Estate Summit Network. Go to blockchainrealestatesummit.com for more information, free reports, and giveaways with free stuff. Thank you.